right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move into who's who and what's new. This is where I'm going to hit him with the headlines of the day. We have not talked about this up front, and we're just going to take them as they come. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. We're going to start with headline number one. You know him. You love him. Hunter Biden plea deal sparks political fight over independence of the justice system. I'm sure you've been keeping up with this story a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of this one just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So for anybody that's not keeping up, I don't know if you've been buried under a rock or maybe keeping your heads firmly planted in the sand, all ostrich style. But the first son has taken a plea deal with the Department of Justice. He's pleading guilty. Fact check me on this one in real time, right? He's pleading guilty to two misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors, no felonies.
Right, no felonies for tax evasion. And then on the federal gun charge, which was the one felony, right, that he was going to be charged with, I guess the way the plea deal works is that they're not going to seek any jail time on it, and he basically is going to take time in rehab. Right. And so he's not going to, he's basically getting off scot-free. Let's just call it what it is, right? Let's just call it what it is. Must be nice when your dad is in charge of the federal cops. Must be nice. That's all I'm going to say. All right.
So do you feel any connection to Hunter in the first son position?
Why would I be? What are you talking about?
You're first son of the family. I'm just wondering to know if you feel any connection there.
No, I have never sniffed Parmesan cheese out of a shag rug. I've never. I'm not even going to keep running.
No connection.
I'm not going to.
None whatsoever.
Okay. Zero.
I was just wondering if maybe there was some understanding or you get his place or you feel him. I mean, you're feeling it, right? You know where he's coming from.
Nope.
You totally identify with this guy, right?
Nope. On a scale of 1 to odd, I can't even.
You're not getting there. Okay, that's a good deal. All right. Really, and I think we're going to move on from this one pretty quick because it's going so south. But it is, yes, what you said is absolutely true. And the one thing that should drive every American absolutely crazy is proves the obvious of a two-tier justice system. That is the ultimate out of this, and everybody really should pay attention because it just means that there will be those that will become the ruling class and nothing will touch them or have them because they control that. And for the rest of us peons or anybody that can be put into that particular position, because Trump is not a peon, yet legally they're able to place him in that position. There is a two-tier justice system. And if you don't have the money to fight it, even if you do, what do? If they want a more liberal pronunciation on the law, they'll just take it from the court where you are and place it into another place where they can get a different interpretation on the law. There's not even any, there's no control. We're losing it fast. And I think the polls are absolutely proving this. I'm trying to think. I just heard it. I'm probably going to misquote it, but I do believe that we are over 60% of Americans, bipartisan, both sides of the aisle, that believe that we are in a two-tier justice system.
Yeah, I think everybody knows when something is fundamentally unfair, and you just look at that and you're like, well, that doesn't seem fair. And I'm just going to leave it right there. Just gonna leave it right there. All right, moving right along. You hate to see it. You really hate to see it. Spotify has canceled.
Run away from these stories. As soon as I saw this, it's like I have no idea.
Spotify has canceled their podcast deal with Harry and Meghan after just 12 short episodes. It was a $20 million deal.
Dude, we got to do 13. We can't let this happen to us. We have to at least get to
6 seasons in a movie. All right. That's the mark of success.
That's the one.
Name that reference. All right. So anyway, but I can't help but think that this is funny because, it just goes to show you that normal people are just not that interested in tuning in to listen to really rich people whine about how bad their lives are. Like people just
telling
don't
ya.
like it, you know?
And look what you did to me. You put me on their level. I can't. How did you do that?
It was deliberate. So
I thought so. My goodness,
but
you lowered me.
anyway, Spotify executive Bill Simmons calls Harry and Meghan grifters after podcast deal ends. And so this guy was caught on a soundbite of a podcast of his own, talking about how just absolutely terrible these two are.
Grifters.
Yeah, and just absolutely called them grifters. So all of the other headlines
Wow.
are painting them as I think one that I read was like, says Harry and Meghan part ways with Spotify, like trying to smooth it over the best they possibly could. And when you dig
And
it,
Spotify was the one who
when you
canceled
dig
it?
into it, like it was Spotify. They were like, "Gank, we're out, dude. We're out, man. Nobody's
They're
listening."
paying you
and
another
they
dime.
straight up said it was because viewership is down. Nobody's listening to the podcast. Nobody wants it.
Oh yeah.
We paid you $20 million. Come to find out that Miss Meghan Markle herself, she wanted it to be set up to be like interview style. So she was bringing people in, sitting them down, doing interviews, right? Like Bobwa used to do back in the day. And then come to find out, she wasn't even physically being in the room with the people that she was interviewing. She would have her staff ask them the questions, tape their responses, and then she would come in later, sit down and view into
that. Had to sound so mechanical. Oh man.
So she couldn't even be put out enough to sit down and talk with the people that she was inviting on her podcast.
Sure. Well, you realize to be in the same room with somebody
but
else.
I mean, think about the level of absolute hubris this chick must have. That she marries a royal, badmouths his family, which has been British royalty for hundreds of years. A
couple hundred, yeah. House of Windsor.
Think about the absolute hubris this chick has. It's mind-boggling.
Well, to allow somebody in the room with her while she's doing the interview would be to give up some of her greatness to somebody.
Her greatness.
Her greatness, right. her glory would fall, and she's not sure if they're worthy.
My goodness.
Oh man. Am I making it sound as petty as I think it is?
Man, I sure hope so. Like, it just boggles the mind. All right,
you can't even interview with somebody in the room.
Can't even be bothered to sit for $20 million. Man, for $20 million, I could be bothered to sit down with a lot of people I don't like.
A lot of people. I could make any interest.
Yeah, I could make anything interesting for $20 million.
For $20 million.
So
at least
how long
will
would you
try?
So how long would you say you've been a rock, Mr. Johnson? All right, that was such a bad joke. All right, moving right along. All right, are you following this Titan story? This missing submarine?
You mean Titanic story?
Well, the submarine that's missing is called the Titan. I
hadn't heard that. Yes,
okay.
I am
So Ocean Gate, the company, produced a commercial submarine. It has total seating for 4 plus the pilot, which is 5. And for 200.
Okay, let's stop right there. Ocean Gate. Are you getting a ring off of this that like I wouldn't go on that thing if you paid me? It's called Ocean Gate.
Well, now you just hold on to that feeling that you have. All right. So Ocean Gate produces this commercial submarine in order to take wealthy, affluent businessmen. Because I mean, at $250,000 a ticket, down to see the wreckage of the Titanic, which is 12,500 feet submerged, so about 2.5 miles submerged. And so for $250,000 a piece, it was taking these guys down to go see it. Well, 3 or 4 days ago, it went missing, and several countries, including the United States, Canada, and I believe France, have all started joining forces looking for it. So that's where this headline coming into the story right now. Rescue hopes for missing Titanic submarine. And again, it's called the Titan. So hinge on new banging sounds as 12 hours left to live. And that's because they're counting down the amount of oxygen. I think they said that they had total oxygen for 96 hours when they started.
Right.
Now,
it's
anybody that knows anything about
tomorrow.
Oxygen consumption knows that goes up and down based on how much how much you breathe. I don't want to insult your guys' intelligence, but so yeah, anyway. And then I saw another headline that came out that said, I think it was a Canadian plane that picked up the banging noise that they were hearing. And then the U.S. Coast Guard came back and said, well, we can't corroborate that they actually heard that. We haven't heard that. So there's conjecture as to whether or not the banging had actually happened, or was it just a sensational headline that somebody ran with?
No, there is confirmation after the plane picked it up. The U.S. Navy dropped buoys in the area for sonar,
Gotcha.
and they did confirm that there was banging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I made a short about it earlier today. Obviously, our hopes and prayers are going out to everybody aboard. I don't care, what your socioeconomic level or background is. I wouldn't wish something like I wouldn't wish
that's a horrible thing going on there in their lives. Yeah,
absolutely. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And so I hope they're found. I hope they're brought back safe and sound. All of them. The thing that's been really funny to me to watch is the bifurcation. Of course, the internet is just a terrible place, right? But it's like everybody on the right is coming out and making fun of the CEO of OceanGate, because they're like, well, this is what happens when and here's the two situations that has been uncovered as this situation has been ongoing, that there have been employees that were terminated from OceanGate as far back as 2018, saying that they were cutting corners on producing this thing, that it was completely unsafe. They were using items in the construction and materials that were not rated for what they were using them for, that they were not doing the correct safety inspections, and blah, blah, blah. And so that's one scandal that's going on. And then the other one is that he's on on camera, saying that he doesn't like to hire 50-year-old white guys coming out of the military, that he wanted his company to be known for having, diverse and equitable people, I guess. He made some statement akin to that. And so everybody's like, well, I hope you got all the diversity that you need down there on the bottom of the ocean. And I was like, dude, that's a terrible thing to say, in the middle of the situation as it's unfolding, So that's on the right. On the left, all of the vitriol that I've seen spit is just like, ha, 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 rich white guys die at the bottom of the ocean. And I'm just like,
and that's just as horrible.
It's just as horrible.
Wow.
So
what happened to human beings?
That's what I'm saying. So anyway,
wow.
Hopes and prayers that everybody comes back safe. I give this by next Christmas, though. Only joke that I'm going to make about this. It's not even a joke. I give this till next Christmas that we have the movie coming out, and Tom Hanks is probably going to play the pilot of the
captain
of the submarine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
I'm taking my shot right now.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, he is the most likely guy.
I know. Moving right along here, we're going to hit the rapid fire section over the last 2 minutes. Joe Rogan offers vaccine expert $100,000 to come onto his podcast and debate on his show. So this guy, Dr. Peter Hotez, was offered $100,000 by Joe Rogan to come onto the Joe Rogan Experience and debate his view on the efficacy of certain vaccines. So this started over the weekend on Twitter. Joe Rogan tweeted out at this guy, if you believe this stuff, come on my show. I'll give you $100,000. Everybody else started dogpiling on, was like, hey, if you go on to Joe Rogan, I'll throw in. The pot of money got up over $1 million. Last time that I checked on it. However,
I know a charity that they could give it to.
Well, okay. Actually, fact check in real time. It was, I will give $100,000 to the charity of your choosing. So let me say that specifically.
I won't be in the running then.
He absolutely refused and is still refusing, last time I checked, to go on to Joe Rogan to have this debate. He says it's beneath him and that it will sully the name of science were he to do so.
And you want to know what's really funny about that? Joe Rogan, because of having COVID and the different things that he has done his own personal study into it. You're going to have to be a doctor and have some real inside information in order to beat Joe Rogan in a
well, I'm just saying
a debate about that. He is well informed.
When the philanthropic thing to do, to be like, hey, no matter if I win or if I lose, that's $100,000 to charity. right?
Okay, we're almost
We're
up. I
almost
gotta
up.
see what you're going to say
12
about
seconds.
this.
Karen Perigines, excuse me, Karine Jean-Pierre refers to herself as a historic figure in an interview. All I'll say is that if by historic you mean that you are the worst press secretary of all time, you nailed it. I agree
Hey,
with you.
I'm historic. I'm historic. I'm historic. I'm historic. Let's go out with. Can you fade me out doing this? I'm historic. I'm historic.